Ladies and gentlemen, it is March 5th, 2013, and this is the KNKL Show, episode 73, where we learn to be better artists. I am your host, Kienan Lafferty. Today we are going to be doing a tutorial on creating beautiful faces, drawing more pretty women, and we're going to be doing 3/4 perspective, so talking about how we sculpt the face in time and space and make it look pretty. So we're going to be doing that as well as jumping into a little bit of possible painting. I'm going to show you how I lay down the base colors and how I start to basically paint out the face. But before we get into that, we must take a trip through the lovely lane. So let's go ahead and pull that up. Alright, so we got a couple new submissions coming in from Chloe, and I cannot say that last name, so you are now Chloe. And we got this awesome, I'm guessing this is Karthus. It looks like a Karthus skin, an awesome Karthus skin. And then we got Timo with Lulu Cupcake, and I really enjoy that. And then we got this awesome thing coming in from Less Than Pie, so I'm going to go ahead and show that right now.
Hello everyone, this is Less Than Pie. This is long overdue, but that's nothing new. Hope you like it.
Oh yeah, he's like putting down the mushrooms. I like that. Let me do it with him. And then you got friggin' Tibbers back there. I love that. So, thank you very much, Less Than Pie, for submitting your awesome animated feature. I would love to see more things like this. That makes me oh so happy. I saw this today and it basically made my day. So for those of you who have not submitted your awesome artworks or animations to the Facebook yet, please do so because it makes my day every time and it makes me so happy. So now that we have that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and jump into the tutorial. And you can see basically right here I am sketching in my face. And I'm just going to continue going. Right now it's looking a little bit manly, but I'm going to go through basically a few of my techniques and I'm going to show you how I go about sculpting this face and making small little changes to it so that way it becomes the petite, beautiful face that I want it to be. Alright, so let's go ahead and get that started. I'm just trying to reposition everything over here so that way I can see what you guys are saying. And let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and minimize iTunes. And we start now! So, basically, just so you guys know, I'm going to be just sculpting this face, basically. Just kind of talking through a couple things that kind of go through my head as I'm sculpting a woman's face, a beautiful woman's face. So, the first thing that I really like to do is, and again, I want to make sure that this tutorial is deemed a little bit more of, it's going to be kind of a combination, my combination of like the anime and realistic style. I really like a little bit of each. It's very, very kind of Final Fantasy. A lot of like my more realistic works featuring girls turn into a little bit more Final Fantasy, kind of anime inspired. But I like to kind of push it a little bit further towards realistic. Like you got anime, like hot chick, you got anime hot chick from Final Fantasy, and then just a little bit more realistic. And what do those people look like? So that's usually what I like to do. Because I can find beauty in just about anybody's face. So I really, really enjoy sort of exploring different looks that exude beauty to me, right? Because I don't like to be, I don't like to look at artists' work where all of the girls' faces kind of look the same, you know, kind of, it's the Barbie doll effect, as I like to call it. So I usually try to come up with different looks for each of my girls that will kind of make them appear attractive, but not the same as the last one. There's some general things that I start with, but you'll see very quickly how I go about making each of them different. So I'm going to go ahead, and one of the things that I'm really liking right here is, let me show you really quickly how I started this face. I started with a circle, very, very similar to how I kind of do my anime faces, right? So it's just like this. And then I divide that circle in half, and then depending on, you know, obviously what perspective we're working with, just kind of do one of those things. And then I'll kind of start laying in the eyes, but again, I've done a whole another tutorial on this, so I don't want to go too in-depth with it. I think it's called Planes of the Face, if you guys want to go back and look for it. Today, I want to get as far on the sketch as possible, and then we're going to jump into some color because I want to show you guys how I go about choosing colors when I'm shading a face and painting a face. That way we can all learn together. That'll make me so happy. So happy. Alright, so the first thing that I like to do here is keep in mind this plane. Like, this is one of the most important shapes. It's almost like, imagine if there was a band-aid over this nose, right? Imagine the band-aid that is going over this nose here. And keep basically this shape in mind because this is one of the most important shapes in the human face that I feel like I always had trouble with because it's the nose, right? So a very, very easy way to remember is almost think about this band-aid that kind of goes over it. And you'll see how that will come into play later, right? And then kind of just erase those little lines there. Then another big thing that I always forget is how this brow line, like this brow ridge, think about how, like, if the nose goes back like this other line comes back out to create the brow, right? So it goes in and then back out, okay? And I'm going to draw that with a red arrow just to drive the point home. Like a quick sum up of how the planes of the face work is you kind of go up to the chin around here, right? And then you go like that, and then it comes out and then back up through the brow. I really like exaggerating this line that's happening here. I used to not draw that as much. So what happened was the nose is kind of curved up into just like the slope of a forehead, and it just looked kind of weird. I didn't really like it. So some faces do that more or less, but I've kind of become a little bit more of a fan of just drawing in that slight brow line. Make sure that it's rounded and curved so it still appears feminine and sexy. Alrighty, so we are continuing now. Continuing here. Let's go ahead and select this here. I'm going to go ahead and draw in like some eyelashes. I don't know if it's just like something that I like, but I like drawing like thicker lower eyelashes. And then I like to draw like one eyelash coming off. That's kind of like my thing. I don't know why. I just like it, okay? Leave me alone. Let me do my thing. Don't ruin my dreams. Alright, so we got this, we got that. And then because of this brow ridge is coming up, I usually like to kind of shade this under part of the eye, right? We can already see a beautiful face is taking shape. Right? You can see a beautiful face taking shape. And then when in doubt, you always want to like flip it around really quickly, make sure that everything is lining up. I feel like this part of the mouth, like the chin, is kind of like sloping down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the magical crutch of Photoshop to select it and warp that face to the desired proportion that I want, which is going to be a little bit more like that. Brilliant! Brilliant! I love it. Okay, cool. So that's looking good. We got that nice, luscious bottom lip. Oh, so sexy. Gotta love that. And let's go ahead and flip that back around. Looking good. Looking very good. Very good. All right. And, yeah, I think that there was a point in my life, and still, even to this day, I mean, I just take this absolute interest in playing around with the planes of the face. You know, what does it take? What makes somebody attractive? What makes a face attractive? And I don't think it's like this. I mean, to a certain degree, I think there are like measurements that you could do. Be like, oh, well, the ratio of the eye compared to below the nose and the bottom lip is the same. You know, but I always like to think that there's beauty. There's beauty in everybody. Everybody has a beauty about them. If you look at them the right way, you admire them, you just, I don't know, it's hard to explain. You take in all of their qualities of their face, their personality, who they are. Very interesting. I think that, you know, all of that stuff contributes to a person's beauty. But what's interesting is when you're drawing just like a girl, there's only so much of her personality that you can show, right? Especially if she's just doing this thing. But, you know, on the contrary, you actually can show a lot of personality by the way she's looking at you. You know, she's kind of like we're looking down at her, and she kind of has like this seductive look. You know, she's looking up at you. So this can kind of show a little bit of her personality, and I think that's also another very, very fun thing to do. Is play around with expressions in your characters. You know, you can only draw so many like straight-on faces, you know, without them, you know, having any character or any personality. So I'd highly encourage that you explore what makes different personalities as far as expressions go. So another thing that I like to do is make sure that I draw the shadow underneath this right here, like the lower eyelid. That's another big one that I think a lot of people forget about. I think it's a very, very important one to have, even if it's just suggested very, very subtly. Oh, that looks bad. Another thing I like to do with like the upper lip is I like to kind of show it like kind of overlapping the bottom lip, kind of like with what's happening here. You see that little curve right there? It's kind of cute. Almost looks a little puckery face though, which I don't like. You know, girls do that on Facebook all the time. They do a little puckery face, and yeah, it freaking pisses me off every time I see that. So I don't want to exactly go to that point, but you know, just a little bit. And then showing just a little bit of that cheekbone will help to make her feel a little bit more mature, more womanly, more sexy. Love that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move on into the rest of the head. Okay, and let's make sure, kind of use our proportions here, because the eyes are supposed to be occurring at about half of the head. And I think her forehead is actually feeling a little bit small. Her head should actually be coming back a little bit more like that. Her head's a little small. Let's fix that. Because we got forehead here, that should be the top of her head. Then going back in perspective, kind of is going to do one of these things, kind of sketching in some more planes. Sort of sketching in that skull so we can get the scalp right, because you got to make sure you got the scalp right if you're going to do the hair on top. The hair atop. Okay, now a very, very simple thing to do with the ear. I've said this all the time. A lot of people say this. You're only going to learn this on the KNKL show, so pay attention. Is draw a line right back from the eye, kind of follow that little curvature there, and then right at about kind of follow that jawline up. That should be about at like the halfway point of your sphere or your head, I guess. And then that is where your ear is going to start. Yay! And then the bottom of it occurs at the bottom of the nose. Yay! We just learned how to draw ears. However, there's a lot of tutorials out there, as I trip over my words, a lot of tutorials out there that teach you how to draw ears that I don't fully agree with. And I will teach you a very, very simple way to remember how to draw ears. And that is the two C's, the two C shapes. Okay? So you draw the little lobey thing right there, right? Then you go C shape like that, and then C shape like that, right? With that little thing there. And that becomes your ear. So basically you got that, and that, and that. That's how you draw an ear. Boom, baby! So it's kind of like C3. Oh, C3PO. There you go, like Star Wars. That's how you do it. That's the C3PO technique. I am now forever going to call it that. No longer the two C's. It's the C3PO. Brilliant! Brilliant! Alright, so our ear's done. I'm liking that. Let's go ahead and draw that neck down like that. Remember, the neck connects with the back of the head, so you want to kind of follow this down. Alright? Then the other portion of the neck is going to come down like this. And let's go ahead and just draw in those little tendons there. Draw in those little tendons so we can remember. Again, the neck isn't super important. Not at this stage. But we don't want to make it look like she's a zombie, so let's kind of play it down a little bit more of those lines there. That looks a little creepy. Mostly just going for a shape there. Lovely! Oh my gosh, the C3PO technique was behind the cam. Ugh. How embarrassing. Alright, I'll show you one more time. C3PO. Let me just kind of erase that. That's how you draw an ear, right there. That's how you draw an ear, ladies and gentlemen. Here, let me draw it one more time. Okay, so you got this little thing, which is kind of like the edge of the P, and you go C, and you go 3, and that's the P, and then the O is the giant ear. Voila! You have ear. See if you can look in the mirror and see your own C-3PO. Witness your own C-3PO. Even so, her ear still looks a little bit small. I need to get this down a little bit more like that. Okay, cool. Not worrying too much about ears right now. Not worrying too much about ears. Let's go ahead and throw in the hair, okay? So I'm going to give her a little bit of kind of... A big thing that will also help indicate age is how far back the hairline goes. If you want to make somebody look much younger, you'll push the hair a little bit forward, like having more hair like in the front will make her look younger, obviously, right? But to make a character look older, all you want to do is just push the hairline back a little ways. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. I'm actually modeling this character off of Kate, Emma's sister. We'll see how it turns out. A realistic Kate. So let's see. Well, all that happens here is she's got hair that comes back like this. There's a part line that comes up through here. Like so. And it looks like her hair is actually very, very flat. Tight against her scalp. She's got one of these things going on. I could shrink down the cam so I stop blocking the stream, but then you wouldn't be able to see this beautiful face. And that would be terrible. That'd be terrible, wouldn't it? Actually, I'm feeling a little bit self-conscious today because I woke up and I got this huge old cold sore on my lip. I'm like, ugh, that's nasty. It's all nasty. It's all pustulating. I hate the way cold sores feel because they're like warm, but they're like numb. And when you touch them, they're like, I don't know, they just feel really weird. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know what else I don't like? Her hairline. It's way too far back. Way too far back. She looks like she's balding. Let's go ahead and bring that down a little bit. I think her ear might be a little bit too far back too. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. Coming down like that, the hairline coming right in contact with that cheekbone. Yes, ma'am. I referenced my face. You notice I was doing that because I have a very womanly face. So I do that. Alright, now let's go ahead and give her Kate's bow really quickly. And then we'll go ahead and move on into some other things. We'll move on into getting the drawing ready for some painting. How much time we got? Woo! 20 minutes. Good, this is going very well. Very, very well. And as you can tell, my energy is at its normal upside. We're at 11 right now. Well, not quite 11. Maybe like a good 8.5. You don't want to see me at 11. Once it gets to 11, things start getting crazy. But I'm feeling much better than I was yesterday. I was very, very tired. I took a nap. I took a nap that day, and I slept for 10 hours, and yet I was still tired. I don't know what the deal was. Just one of them days, but you know what? I just got fed up, and I was like, no, this can't happen. I should not be able to, or I should not be doing shows in this state of mind. I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I am tired. I'm going to find the reserve energy. I'm going to call upon the reserve energy, and it will come down from the sky in the form of lightning, and it will course through my body. And then I'll be ready to make another show. So, yes, I will call upon the gods of webcasting. Be like, gods, I need energy. And they will give me what I so desire. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fix this up. Let's draw in her sexy shoulder. Looking good. Oh, uh-oh. Running out of space. Let's go ahead and shrink that down a little bit. There we go. And I don't like how her forehead is coming out that far. I'm going to go ahead and bring that back a little bit. Just got a little bit of a caveman brow going on there. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just not Kate's face. Not Kate's face. And we're going to go ahead and make sure that we're playing. We are making sure that we are consistent with our perspective. So this shoulder is happening here, so naturally her other shoulder is going to be back here, like so. And then we're going to have probably collarbone happening here. Something like that, okay? Don't have to get too crazy with it, but yes. Let's go ahead and draw in just the top of her chest. How naughty. Just to tease you. You know what I mean? Just teasing. Because today we are focusing on the face, not the body. We have other tutorials where we focus on those things. Okay, so in general I'm liking that. Regardless of the unrealistic hair, the hair wouldn't do that. In fact, let me fix that really quick. Let me fix that to be a little bit more realistic hair. The hair would probably do something a little bit more like that. That? I don't know. Maybe the other one wasn't too bad. Again, the mixture of cartoon and realistic. The mixture of cartoon and realism is not always the easiest thing to do. But it is a challenge I'm up to. Let's go ahead and draw that hairline back there. Showing her hairline. It's always a good thing. Okay, so I'm liking that. Her lip is looking a little too Angelina Jolie for me. So I'm going to go ahead and reduce that back in just a teeny bit. I tend to like girls with like smaller lips, as opposed to like the giant like Jessica Rabbit things going on. I will pass on that for now. Who knows? Maybe after some patty cake I would change my mind. But without that, I'm just going to go for the smaller lips. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, Kate, you're looking pretty sexy. I like what I'm seeing here. Like what I'm seeing here. Okay, another thing that I really like to do for girls' faces is I like to soften the jawline, especially like back here. And I'll actually kind of do one of these things. I'll kind of soften the jawline right up into the hairline and the ear, right? So I'll have a little bit of the ear like that. I'll soften that jawline. I'll just kind of bring it to a point with the chin. I really like that. And then I like to kind of throw in a little bit of like the anime blush. It's like, looks cute. And let's see, what else do I want to do with Kate? Lighten her eyes a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so I'm liking that so far. I'm liking that. Making sure that I'm getting her eyebrows correct as well. She's kind of got like these big arching eyebrows. Make sure I'm not losing those. And I think we are good to begin color. So let's go ahead and jump right into that. And notice like how I'm kind of separating things into planes, like really important parts. Like if you zoom in here on the nose, notice how I've separated like an upper plane and then like the lower plane of the nose. All right, and that's going to come in handy when we start coloring, because that is really going to start showing itself, showing its true colors as we start throwing in the colors, or the shading rather. Okay, so a couple other things that I want to remember is just how this kind of like blends. There's a blend that happens from the brow that goes down into the nose, and it's going to just blend very, very subtly like this. But we can deal more with that with the colors, but that's just kind of like something that I want to remember. And also there's a very, very bright spot. There's a lot of light that gets caught right here, which will also help to separate these two planes that are happening here. But again, we'll get into that in just a moment. We'll get into that in just a moment. We are moving into color. Color, yes. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set this layer to multiply. Okay? And just one more inspection. One more inspection of this face. I'm actually not liking the placement of this ear. I know I measured it out and everything, but it's still not looking right. I think more or less the top of the ear needs to be closer to this eye. I think that ear needs to be just a slight bit bigger. Bottom of the nose, bottom of the ear. So I think we should be a little bit more looking like that. Yeah. Better. And then I always like to kind of go back, and it's like, oh yeah, that ear's way out of whack. So there we go. Tragedy averted. And again, that comes from flipping the canvas, and that is something that I can show you guys how to set up. Like I have it set to a hotkey, so I can just like flip the canvas really easily. I'll show you guys how to do that on another tutorial. It's very, very easy. In fact, I might be able to actually show you right now. Actually, yeah, I should show you that right now because I probably couldn't devote an entire tutorial to that because that would only take like a minute to show you. So I'll go ahead and show you that right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so in your window tab, you'll have this thing called Actions, right? So if you click that, it's going to take you probably to this little panel over here. Let me make sure my face isn't covering this. It is, so I'm going to go ahead and take myself off. All right, so right over here, as you can see, you have this little tab here, right? And this is your Actions tab. So basically, all you want to do to create a new thingy, to create a new action, is you click this little button right here, like the new layer button, except this is new action, right? And then you're going to name it like flip, you know? And then make sure you set your function key, you know, to whatever, you know, F2, F3. In this case, I used F2, right? And so then once you do that, once you create a new layer, you hit record, right? And then you go to image, rotate canvas, and then you go to flip canvas horizontally, right? And then when you hit stop, it'll basically record that. And now every time you press F2, it should flip the document for you, right? I hope that I explained that properly. If not, then leave me a comment down below and I can go a little bit more in depth with it. Okay, so still there's a couple things here that are still not exactly that I'm not liking with the face. But again, we can deal with those as we go further into this. For now, I'm happy with it. Note that your face will actually change quite a bit as you begin painting it. You'll notice little nuances and little things that you want to change as you go forward with painting this face. So the first thing I'm going to actually do is I'm going to actually want to make sure that this face is okay. It's set up pretty well. So I'm going to go ahead and fill this with like a dark red. Dark red is just much easier to paint with. So I'm going to fill the face with like a dark red. Okay, and it's on multiply. Okay. In fact, actually, I don't want that dark of a red. Be more of like a dark pink. Maybe a little darker. Perfect. Okay, now let's go ahead and choose our skin tone. Let's go ahead and pick a nice sort of tannish peach. Beautiful tannish peach. And usually I like to kind of start dark, so you kind of think of what the darkness of the skin is going to look like. Start with that. Okay? So what I'm going to go ahead and do is, I wonder if I should mask this. For tutorial's sake, I think I'm going to do it I'm just going to do it this way. So we're going to go ahead and just start filling stuff in. Okay? I'm start just painting stuff in. Let's start with the skin. And we'll just focus on the skin today because I think the skin is the most important part. I'm sure that's why all of you showed up to learn about this today. So we'll start with the skin. And I'll talk about the things that I like to do with the skin. Okay? Okay. Got painting that shoulder there. We don't have to worry too much about this because we're not painting that today. Alright, yes, and for those of you asking about the brushes, they are on DeviantArt for you to download and enjoy for free. go ahead and check that out. Oh, by the way, oh, look at that. I painted all that crap on the wrong layer. Whatever. That's fine. For the purposes of the tutorial, that's fine. By the way, next week I am going to be doing something special for those of you who have been donating. For those of you who have not only been buying, like purchasing the digital version of the Emma comic, but also donating, I decided I'm going to start doing something special each week for people that want to start donating and supporting the comic and helping me out. So I think that's awesome, and I want to make sure that I recognize those people. So that will be starting next week. So I wanted to say for now, thank you guys very much for the support of just reading the comic, and for those of you who decided to go the extra mile and go ahead and purchase the digital comic, as well as some of you with, I don't even know what kind of saints you are, but decided you want to help out some kid making a comic with your hard-earned cash. That really means a lot, so thank you guys very much. All right, now all that out of the way, we're going to go ahead and start laying in the colors. So the first thing you want to do is think about where's your light coming from? For the purpose of this daily, I think we're going to do just like a frontal light. So we'll just kind of focus on as if this was like a spotlight just hitting straight on, okay? So one of the first things you're going to want to do is I'm going to be working with a soft brush, okay? And think about it this way. One of the first things that I like to do with skin is I start creating like a kind of like that local color. What is like that saturated, really, really saturated color of the skin when the light hits it? And start throwing that in and wherever that's going to be hitting, right? And some of the most important places that you want to remember where that's going to hit, especially from this angle, is right along this ridge here of the cheek, right along here, and it's going to be very, very not hitting underneath this eye here. It's going to be hitting there and here, right? Because there's a little bit of like a dip, like the cheek kind of comes down and then it comes back out for the mouth, and then at the bottom of the chin, okay? And then under here, all of this is going to be very, very dark. And on the top of the ear there. Now I'm also going to go back in here and I'm just going to push the shadows a little bit further as well. For the way that I like to think of the face working is the shadows go to like desaturated kind of reds. They go to desaturated reds. Then you kind of cross into, as it becomes lit, you cross into more saturated colors, and then it desaturates again as the light hits it even harder. So right now, again, we're just throwing in colors, just getting a basic idea of what we want to do with this face. Okay, throwing in our shadows, throwing in this stuff. And you'll notice really quickly, already, the face is starting to take shape just from those little lights. See what we've done here? We're communicating that this, like wherever these shadows are, it's wrapping around, right? And then wherever these lights are is where it's wrapping up and it's being hit by the light. By the light. And that makes us happy, right? Makes us very happy. So you'll also notice that as I paint this in, a couple of these shadows like have some dead areas, right? Like look in here. See how it kind of goes like this gray, kind of looks kind of gray in there? Well, here's what you do to really kind of pop the skin and really, really show the depth of the skin and what I like to call subsurface scattering. Scattering. I'm going to go in and let's see. What are you guys saying over here? Okay, so subsurface scattering is basically take this color here, and then you're going to go to this color, right, which is kind of more red. But what is the transition between those two? Simple. All you got to do is go up and a little bit to the right to saturate it, okay? And you're going to wind up with a color a little bit more like that, okay? And then basically wherever those transitions happen, very, very simple, you just go like that, and that, and that. Especially in like the nose and the cheek areas, really don't feel free to like go crazy in this area because it looks really like blushy, makes it look very, very beautiful, and vibrant, and in the mouth as well, and in the ears because you've got blood vessels all circulating in those areas, and it's going to show off the subsurface happening much easier. right? So there you go. That's how you start adding in a little bit of subsurface, right? And then we've got this whole like sketch over top of it, which still makes it kind of look blurry and kind of nasty. But I'm going to show you guys how to begin painting that away. It's very, very simple. First thing you want to do is just kind of get your general idea of what you want your face to look like. All right, so we're moving more into the lights now. So simply what we're going to do is we're going to start desaturating, moving towards yellow, right? Moving towards yellow. And you'll see what this is going to begin to do for us. This is going to begin to add another layer, another element. Actually, I think that's a little too yellow. I don't like that. Let's go a little bit more desaturated. It's going to start giving us another layer of depth, right? And you want to be a little bit more selective with this one where you place it, okay? Only the brightest points, almost like the speculars, you know, like the speculars on the nose, and just like really, really places that are going to be receiving a lot of light. You want to make sure that you're very, very selective with this one. Okay? And you can already see, like, look at that cool skin tone. Look at the, it's all about the transition, right? And let's look very closely at it. You've got desaturated yellowish light, right? And it kind of transitions into this local semi-saturated light. Then you go to saturated, you know, blending into the shadows. Then your shadows become kind of a little bit more gray and desaturated. Okay, so it's desaturated, saturated, desaturated. That is the pattern, basically, that skin does when you're working with the lighter skinned female. I should do a tutorial on like black people's skin too, because that has some really, really cool ways that it interacts with like ambient light. If I remember how I was talking to you guys about how like the shadows absorb ambient light, it was very, very cool how dark skin absorbs that and sort of works with that. Although I don't have a lot of experience with that, so again, I don't want to like jump into it and act like I know what I'm doing. I'd have to do a little bit of research first. But yeah, I think that's something very much worth showing off sometime. I think that'll be a lot of fun. Joint study session, anyone? Yes? Yes! Alright, so now all I'm doing is I'm going back in here and just throwing in some cast shadows, right? Cast shadows. Those are the hard shadows that are coming in from the tops of the eyes, underneath the nose, underneath, you know, the lip, in the ear, and beneath the neck, right? And that is looking quite good. Next up, we got the eyes. Let's go ahead and throw in, like, again, don't make them straight white. I almost picked like this kind of tannish color in here. And yeah, try to stay away from making your eyes look too white, because it'll just, especially when you're doing like realistic portraits, it'll tend to make them look kind of, I don't know, weird. I don't know exactly how to explain it. And I'm going to make her eyes kind of like a deep red, like a deep desaturated red. It's probably going to look a little cartoony, but I think I will like it, because that is kind of how Kate works. Then I'm going to go ahead and just kind of, since our lines are on multiply, I'm going to go in here and kind of like throw in, you know, a little bit of more darkness on her eyelashes where I want them to be. And you can start to see our faces taking shape. And you'll notice, please note at the roughness of this. Notice how rough I start, right? Because I think that an important part of drawing and painting is allowing yourself to be sort of free. Allowing yourself to be free when you're in the sketching stage and sort of the creation process, right? Because if you get so caught up in everything looking perfect and everything looking right, then that looks like a mustache. If you get all caught up in everything looking just perfect, then you know it's gonna affect your drawing, and it's not gonna look as good. So I think it's very important that you allow yourself to be free during this point, and then later on you can worry about everything being, you know, looking perfect. Allow yourself to be rough in this point, because there's little nuances and there's little subtleties that you'll pick up that you might not have gotten if you would have worried too much about, you know, everything looking just right. Alright, so I'm liking that. That's looking pretty dang good. Alright guys, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to flip the canvas really quickly. I'm kind of liking that. She's looking a little like delirious, like kind of sleepy. I'll see if I can go ahead and fix that. Oh, another thing that I'm not liking here is like the roundness of this forehead here. I want it to like have a little bit more of a curve there, or show a little bit more of a hard angle there, because the skull is going to curve the the uh, the head back a little bit more. So let's kind of cut that off just a little bit more. And again, note the subtlety of how I'm doing that. Notice the subtlety. Just that little line will help to, again, kind of create that flatter plane that's happening there, and kind of pops out a little bit for the cheek. Okay? And there you go. So moving on. Let's see how much time we got. Woo! Dang, time flies when you are drawing pretty women. Pretty woman. All right. So next up, what we're going to do is we are going to start painting over the lines very, very quickly. And I'm going to show you guys as much of this as possible. And then we'll probably continue this a little bit more next week, because I'll go into the hair and all that stuff, and we'll have a little bit of fun with this over the next week or so. So, is everything going okay? Everything going okay? Looks like we're dropping a couple frames here and there, but whatever. It's all good. It just happens. It happens for right now, and I'm not too thrilled about it. But rest assured, I will be taking care of that eventually. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to the line layer, right? Look at when we take away the lines, we're left with this, right? The lines are communicating a lot of our information with this face, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. But we want to take it to the next level, where the colors and the shading themselves are basically suggesting the lines, right? We no longer have to rely on the lines to tell us the story of this face, okay? So the first thing you're going to do, because you are good little children, and you did as I've taught you, you created your lines on a separate layer, and that makes it very, very simple for you to go back in and start coloring them away, brushing them away very, very softly. So an easy way to do that is I just grab the color that's next to it. I'll start painting the lines, right? Start painting the lines. Oh, except they're on multiply. Oh, what happens if I... Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's the reason why I did not do it on multiply. Okay, hang on. It's been a while since I've done this. So, oh, but I don't really like the way that looks. Oh, is that about the same feeling as we had before? I think that's about the same. Oh, no, it's a little bit different. Well, I kind of like this more. I kind of like the way this looked more. That actually made it a lot easier for painting. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys, we're going to go straight into painting over the lines. Let's go straight into painting over the lines. In fact, another way that you can help to get rid of these lines is you can actually just start grabbing like a very, very light color. You can start just painting those out. Since it's on multiply, just think about how that line is affecting what's behind it. You know, I'm painting light gray, but it's just affecting the line behind it much, much easier, right? It's not overbearing on it, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and start painting outlines that I don't want to be appearing as harshly, right? Like in here and here, kind of softening up the face. So you still can do this. In fact, I might, usually I don't do this. I almost did it on accident, where I work with the lines on multiply. But after doing it this way, I actually liked the way it allowed me to lay in the colors of the face. And the lines almost just took on the properties of what was behind it, to the point where it kind of softened the face already. You know? I hope that makes sense. But in essence, it's just it made it look better, faster. So just like Daft Punk. Hotter, better, faster, and stronger. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just paint these things in. I'm basically painting these almost straight white. Painting out the lines at this point. So I don't want lines in here, don't want lines there. Don't want lines there, don't want lines there. Get rid of dims, and get rid of dims. You can see naturally we're letting our colors tell a little bit more of the story of our face. And we're softening the face. It's becoming more womanly, more beautiful. More womanly and more beautiful. Alright, peoples. Now we're going to go ahead and move on into painting! Yay! Painting! If you guys are ready for that, I'm checking the chat over here. No, you are not the only one getting lag. I don't know why it is lagging. Let me double check, make sure I'm not streaming. Sometimes I stream. I'm really smart, and I like download the stream that I'm sending out at the same time as I'm uploading it. So yeah, but yeah, I'm not sure what's happening with the stream right now. Just gonna have to deal with it. Deal with it, and I will deal with that later. All right. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and continue what we were doing. Still, this hairline is looking a little bit too far back, but I'll go ahead and fix that. Because now we are moving into overpainting, which is actually one of my favorite things because I get to name it the OP layer. The overpowered layer. Because basically it is going to overpower everything that we have set in motion thus far. Okay, so one of the first things that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring down this hairline because I can do that. Because I can go ahead and do that. And it's just a little bit of a note for the future of like, hey, make sure that this hairline comes down to here. And just kind of playing around with a couple things going on through there. Now let's go ahead and move on into those important parts. Remember I was talking about the importance of remembering this band-aid shape, right? In here, remember this band-aid shape? We're going to be playing that up right now immediately. Okay, so a cool thing that you want to do is because you've laid in that band-aid shape, you can grab this sort of like highlight color in here, right? And let's get really far in there. That color right there, this is how you're going to pronounce the eyes very, very well. Remember that lower eyelid? What you're going to want to do is kind of follow that up right into there, and you're going to basically push it out like that, right? There's going to be like a heavy, heavy highlight that's going to hit right there, especially if the light is coming from here. You want to think about the light is almost like concentrating just in this little spot and just like radiating outward everywhere, right? But don't draw the squiggles. Just draw this part. And you're going to basically just draw this out like that, and you're going to blend with the alt-clicking technique. You go ahead and start blending away the lines of Christmas past. Okay? Now we're going to go ahead and do the underlying eyelid, right? Let's go ahead and draw that eyelid under there. And again, remember, because of reflected light, you got reflected light hitting right here. And it's going to hit that eyelid. And it's going to blend. Make sure you blend these two very, very easily. You don't want that to look too like crazily like off center because then it's going to look like baggy eyelids. And we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay? Alright, so moving on. Let's go ahead and draw in these little tear ducts here. The tear ducts coming up like that. And let's draw on those eyelashes like that. And again, don't forget the sexy lower eyelashes. Yeah, I got those too. And then another cool thing that I really like to do that I think a lot of artists forget sometimes is draw the little flap of skin that goes over the eyes like that, right? Don't forget that. It's very, very important. And then draw a little bit of underlighting here. A little bit of shadow, like don't forget the shadow between the eyelid and the eye right there. And then let's go ahead and draw in this eye very, very quickly. Eyes are another thing that I think, I don't know, I'm not really like the biggest, I'm not like an expert at them. I usually kind of just draw what looks good. I mean, that's really what you should always be doing, but yeah, I'm no expert on eyes. What I do know is that wherever the light is coming from, basically the opposite edge of the iris is going to be the one picking up the light, right? And then you have the pupil is going to be like that. I usually like to kind of blend this darkness right into the eye. And I see that, or I've come to find that that makes an eye look very, very beautiful. And then sometimes I'll kind of like draw like this thing, like that little reflected light right there. And then if I'm feeling frisky, you know, if the eye would actually be picking up the highlight, I'll put that in there, right? Which, in that case, it looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. All right, moving on to the next eye, let's do the same thing. Let's go ahead and draw this up. Let's not forget about, again, Especially here. Don't forget to do like the highlight on that eyelid there, because that part of the skin is very moist, so it's going to pick up speculars much, much easier. Much, much easier. Yes. Eyelid under here. And again, we're still very much sculpting and kind of having some fun with it. Not worrying too much about stuff. Not worrying too much about stuff. I'm just kind of running you guys through some of the basics, right? And if ever you feel like some of your lines are a little bit too stark, like here, like I don't like the darkness of that line, or the rather the contrast of that line too much, all you got to do is just kind of grab that color that's around it and kind of blend it. Blend it until it's soft enough that it is to your liking. Like that, okay? And again, just blending, 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 blending. I feel like that's a big part of what I do. I blend a lot. Blend a lot and have fun with it. If you're not having fun, there's something wrong. Okay, so have fun. Good luck, have fun. A good man once said. Alright, so let's go ahead and move on over here. Let's go ahead and draw in this area, because this is also going to be picking up some light. Some light. And I'm really trying to focus on this area, right? Because this is a big, big area that I feel like, I mean, even I still struggle with it. So, you want to think about the eyelid, right? There's the eyelid that's happening right here. It kind of comes up and over like that, right? This is eyelid, that little thing right there. That's eyelid. And then beneath that, you have the brow line, which is actually going to be picking up some reflected light. So what you're going to want to do is actually throw in a little bit of this, right? You're throwing a little bit of reflected light kind of coming down like that. Actually, that doesn't look right. If it doesn't look right, then you're probably doing it backwards, which I think I was doing. So we're actually going to have the shadow be more this way and have the light be more up this way, right? We're going to curve that more down. See if that creates the desired effect. Yes, it does! It's one thing I've learned about shading is if you start shading an object and it looks kind of weird, you're probably just doing it backwards. Okay, so now we can see the roundness that creates, right? You see the eyes are really set back in there, and then this brow like almost does that, right? You want to create that nice like roundness of the brow. Looks very, very beautiful, and it has like that skin, you know, that kind of sits over it. It looks very, very natural and beautiful. So let's go ahead and move on into the next part here, because there's another same thing how the light really catches in this area. It also catches very, very heavily right here. Again, remember that little band-aid thing? You're also going to be making use of this area, right? And you're going to blend this out like that. You're going to seek it out and blend it. That'll also give you another really, really nice plane of the face for the most part. And then once you're done with that, you know, once you're done with the band-aid thing, you can go ahead and get rid of it. Blend it out like that. And then what you should start to notice is that you're starting to create a really nice looking face with all your nice planes. Alright? Nice looking face with nice looking planes. I'm a fan. I'm a fan. I should just go up to a girl one day and be like, you have really nice planes. The planes of your face are so intoxicating. Right? Alright, so we're also going to have a little bit of light happening here. Remember, like there's light catching along this ridge of the nose. And a little bit of shading here along the brow line. Okay? And again, try your best to not like make the nose look flat like that. Try your best not to do that. Think of it as coming up to a point, right? Really, really kind of like blend these lines up to the point where it looks like it's rounded. Really, really rounded. You want to stay away from kind of like popsicle stick looking nose. No popsicle stick nose. Not on my watch! Alright. Again, other side of the eye there. That's looking pretty good. I'm liking that. I'm liking that. She's looking pretty cute. Looking pretty cute. Liking that. And then you'll notice, like, as you begin painting, as you continue painting, you know, make sure you're flipping the canvas quite a bit just to make sure that you're capturing all the little nuances and making sure that everything is in perspective. And keep in mind, I think a big part of laying out a face is, again, in the actual layout. Imagine that, right? So make sure that your sketch, like the underlying sketch, has to be in place before you start painting over top of it. And one of the biggest things that you want to pay attention to, we're going to do another layer over top. And we're going to sum up a few things that we've learned today, since we are running out of time. So during this time, please, I would invite you to submit your questions via Question Catapult with the chat to your right. And I'll answer them as I'm summing up what we have learned today. Okay? So a couple things that you want to remember when you're drawing a face is think about these eyes, right? Think about the eyes existing within the skull, right? The eyes are existing within this skull like this, right? And the edges of the eyes, you want to think about those edges. That is what you're seeing. That is what creates this shape, right? When you see an eye coming from the side, that shape is the edge of it, right? And it's actually existing within the head, and it's connected to the brain, right? And this eye is doing the same thing, right? Much like that, connected to the brain. And so you want to make sure that whatever perspective, the reason why I draw that is because you want to make sure that whatever perspective you're drawing this face in, that everything lines up, right? All the lines are going this way, right? So if you were to draw the ear on the other side, it would be probably around that area, you know? If you had X-ray vision and you could look through it, you know, and that's going to help you out also because, like, look at where this mouth is. Look at where this edge of the lip is. You know that the other edge of the lip is going to be right there. This eye is here, the other eye is going to be there. Okay? So those are some big things that go into, again, setting up your drawing. Set up your drawing properly. And then be ready to, you know, as you go forward, you're going to start changing the way the face looks. You're going to start changing the way the face looks. And you want to make sure that you kind of go back every now and then to your original sketch and be like, hey, there was something in this. You know, maybe it's the fact that her irises are less pronounced. That made her look a little bit more, I don't know, cartoony, maybe a little bit more like ticked off, or whatever kind of character you're trying to portray forward. Make sure you always go back and kind of reference that and be like, okay, there's something here that I'm losing when I'm painting this. Or maybe you'll find that as you're painting it, you're actually gaining something and be like, wow, this is awesome. And then make sure that, you know, you work in layers. Like, you don't have to work in just one overpaint layer. You can try experiments. Be like, okay, what if her hairstyle was like bangs, right? And you just started like painting in, you know, bangs. And like, what would that do to it? And then if you don't like it, you can just go ahead and delete it. So the reason why I say all of this is because I think that it's very, very important that you develop your skills as far as sketching and laying a good foundation for your faces before you go into the painting of it, right? I think laying a good foundation is the base work. You've got to have that before you can start painting. And then naturally, all of the little tricks and, you know, like subsurface scattering and all this stuff that happens with the face will just naturally come in time as you continue your journey of your search for artistic truth. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and take some questions as I smooth out this nose because I don't want it to look like popsicle stick nose. And it's not helping. It's not helping me. Come on. All right, question time. Why is her face so sexy? Kira says. That is a question that I don't know fully exactly why. Like, I don't know exactly how to create an attractive face. Other than, I mean, I said it before, I really think that anybody's face can be attractive. It's just the way that you draw it. It's the way that you capture that personality, the way that you capture that character in the face. I think if you capture that, that is what makes it endearing. That's what makes it beautiful. So, yeah, and I really do believe that. Make your eyebrows a little bit, no, I don't like that. I'm going to bring your eyebrows just a teeny bit back. Yes, I like that. Cool. Next. Okay, I can't whistle. Elfenzorn is saying you didn't check the Emma Facebook page at the beginning. That's because I do Emma Facebook during Emma stream, so that's going to be tomorrow, Elfenzorn. Don't worry, I'll get to you. Eric Moffat, even your face. Yes, it is attractive. Your face is even attractive. I don't know you, but I know it's attractive. All right, people, so that is going to wrap up episode 73. Again, I do apologize a little bit for the lag throughout the day. That is not my intention. I don't know why it's doing that. But, yeah. I don't know exactly what I can do about getting a new internet service provider in my current position, you know, where I'm living. But that may be changing here very soon. So, again, I don't want to make any promises, but it is always something that I'm looking to improve. But nevertheless, thank you guys for being patient. Thank you for tuning in and watching me create this face. People on YouTube, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another KNKL Emma stream. Till then, you guys take care. Epic music. Epic music, come to me. Where are you? There we go.